The world of Pikmin. A world filled to the brim with colour, excitement, action, funky characters, and gorgeous set pieces. Exploration of the worlds found in these games is a truly thrilling thing, a truly immersive experience. Whether it's the Forest of Hope or the distant spring, there is something just magical about traversing this world with our plant-animal friends at our side, something wonderful and awe-inspiring. Hey, why is that anyway? Okay, that's an incredibly vague question, so let me rephrase it. What is it about Pikmin that makes it so immersive and engaging as a game? In other words, what is the biggest contributor to making the experience of Pikmin feel so special? Well, I think the best way to figure this out is to take a step back and zoom out and... Hang on a minute, what is that? Do you see that? No, let's zoom in just a little more. Oh, that's handy. With Pikmin, I think it's safe to say that it is all about perspective. The way perspective is used in Pikmin brings each of its individual facets together to create an immersive and unique game experience. When we look at how perspective accentuates the scale of the world in a way that helps us appreciate beauty and intrigue in the otherwise mundane, and the way it sets the experience apart from other real-time strategy games, the impact of perspective is pretty significant. It establishes a world that is our own, viewed from a life that is not. A world that is familiar, seen from an unfamiliar angle. A world that is larger than life, viewed from those smaller than an ant. It's all about perspective. Now, that's a lot of talk about perspective without really defining it or talking about what it is in context. So let's start with that. Perspective is, simply put, how we view things. It is how an object is made to appear to us in terms of its distance from us, the angle we see it from, and its scale in relation to what surrounds it. For a video game, our perspective is informed by the position of the in-game camera and is very closely aligned with point of view. These are different slightly to perspective and point of view in narrative studies, which focus more on who the narrator is and the attitudes of the narrator, but let's not worry about that for now. Instead, let's just construct an example of perspective to get a feel for the whole thing. This is you. As a player, you view the world through a third-person perspective, and you get to see the world from relatively close to the character you control. With full control of the camera, you can see the world around you as if you were directly transported to the world of the game without any changes to scale or otherwise. Simply put, the game's perspective is positioned to make the game world make visual sense to us, to represent the world that we already see. Now that we understand that, we can start looking at why we are here, the significance of Pikmin's use of perspective. First, let's acknowledge the world itself, the setting of Olimar's journey. From a cursory glance, nothing is particularly striking. The world is the very same as our own planet Earth. When looking at the globe, we see all these familiar landmarks, oceans, and continents. And when looking at each of the actual levels from a distance, the same thinking tracks. These are just glimpses of our own world, and while these can be some gorgeous glimpses, they are otherwise nothing new or special. Now let's bring perspective into the mix and... oh, he's tiny. Here's the thing. The characters of Pikmin are small, like a few centimeters tall type small. As such, there is a lot of importance placed on how we get to see the world, given the size of the characters we control within it. So, here we are. This is Olimar, the main character and extension of the player, so to speak. He is positioned at a relatively moderate distance from the camera, and so we are seeing him from a third-person point of view. With this perspective, we get to recognise the small captain, who will generally sit in the middle of the screen, and the large, and I mean large, flora, fauna, and otherwise objects that litter the world around him. Given the immensity of the world around us and the strange shapes of the characters and creatures within, it's safe to say that the viewing experience of this world is meant to feel unique and alien. It is meant to feel intriguing. Now, the third-person camera and how it lets us view the world is important for a few reasons. For one, this point of view extends our range of vision drastically, which is very helpful from a gameplay perspective, but even more so for how it enhances our appreciation of the scale of the experience. As I mentioned before, the use of perspective in combination with the way the world is decorated seems to imply a world abundant in intrigue for the player. An intrigue that works well with the game's design, given the emphasis on exploration. Consider if Pikmin were instead in the first-person point of view, setting aside how it might affect it from a gameplay understanding. We would be seeing the world directly through Olimar's eyes, which is to say, we would be limited to seeing what he sees. Sure, this means we would be more closely aligned with the way the world should appear from such small origins, but also risks inciting a kind of fear or feeling of insignificance in the world. It inhibits our intrigue and understanding of the true sense of scale, and the wonder that comes with existing as a part of a large world at such a small size. We can see that this is big or this is wide, but we don't get the full effect when we cannot compare our world to the itty-bitty characters. The fact that we are viewing from this third-person perspective is an important part of Pikmin's design because it allows us to recognize and appreciate the uniqueness that comes with seeing our otherwise mundane world from smaller, more innocent and unsuspecting eyes, without burdening players to feel unnecessary insignificance or hopelessness within the world. We are able to acclimate to the angle we have been given in a way that, in spite of our familiarity with the world, lets us experience the game in a way that embodies the exact intrigue that exists at the core of Pikmin's design. Another thing that is fantastic about the perspective is how it plays into the way we immerse ourselves into the experience. Immersion is all about feeling like we belong in the game world, a sensation of being transported from reality to the world of the game. While this is most prominent in deep narratives and high graphical fidelity games, it is not a sensation gated to only those experiences. Immersion is just as true for Pikmin as it might be for any game. For Pikmin, this immersion takes the form of how we relate to the avatar we control, Olimar, a relation that hinges on perspective. For any other RTS game, there is a distinct lack of immersion, for a number of reasons, given how contrived the experience is overall. While Pikmin is itself an RTS, it is able to forego much of this contrivance by virtue of how perspective anchors the experience. It establishes a clear character through which we can extend ourselves into the world through. I mean, consider these two clips and observe how the difference in perspective enhances or detracts from immersion. In this clip, we are so far removed from that which we command, to the point of complete dehumanization. These are no longer characters who are part of the story, they are simply tools providing the means to an end. Which is not a bad thing, but it doesn't capture immersion. But this guy right here, we know this guy. We control him directly. We are visually connected to him within the world, thanks to how closely we get to see him. And thanks further to that, we are connected to that which he is connected to. Thus, the weight of his experience and the narrative such experiences construct have a lot more impact to us. It also helps that the world he is a part of is so grounded to us as a player, again being our world, while maintaining an intense sense of intrigue and curiosity given the perspective from which we are viewing it, bringing again into consideration that whole sense of scale. These are sensations that then only heighten our connection and relationship with Olimar, given that this is exactly how he feels about the world, that it is new and mysterious. We get to recognize the strange uniqueness of our world that Olimar acknowledges in spite of any preconceived notions we may have. Yeah, that's a can, but also, whoa, that is a can. I can fit inside of that, and it's solid, and you can hide things in there. And yeah, those are some sticks over there. But wow, those are some sticks. You could make a bridge out of those. Now, this visual connection based on perspective has established an entire web of connections to the character and the world itself, which is exactly how a game goes about making us feel more immersed into the experience. And can you see why this is so significant now? Perspective in video games is a fantastic tool for changing the experience players will get. From the point of a game's conception, having an idea on how you want players to view a world, and the ways you want to play with their understanding and expectations of this world through perspective establishes such a strong foundation for the kind of experience you can create. Even beyond gaming, fantastic things are found when we take a moment to look at what we know from a new angle, when we consider the endless potentials that exist within the way that we look at the world. That Pikmin exists as a way for us to feel the brilliance of a world that can be seen in an infinite number of different ways. A world that is larger than life could ever be, by giving us just one of those special perspectives, that of those smaller than an ant. That is what makes Pikmin a game with heart. If you've made it this far into the video, I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for your support. If you have any criticisms or feedback, any advice at all, let me know in the comments. This has been a wild ride creating this. I've learned a lot about essay writing, video editing, my favourite game, Pikmin, and about the kind of things that I want to create and how I want to create them. And the end result is something that I can't say I'm perfectly pleased with. It's not the full potential of what I could have achieved, but it is certainly something that is evidence of my learning, and will only evidence learning going ahead when I create things that are bigger and better than what this was. If you like what you see, be sure to like the video or subscribe to the channel. It will really help me know that I'm on the right track. And if you want to get in contact with me, you can visit me on my Twitter, Games with Heart, GamesWHeart, or join the Discord, where the community that I've established from streaming on Twitch has kind of amassed. The Discord link will be in the description, as well as, if you'd like to come join the streams, the Twitch channel, Games with Heart. We do a lot of streaming there, play a lot of games, have a good time, enjoy the things we love. In fact, if you're watching this video as it releases, I'm currently streaming a randomizer of Pikmin 1, so that's cool, that's going to be fun. Yeah, hope to see you there. Otherwise, thank you so much for all your support. Take care.